All right, so it's time to kind of put our DIY turntable to the test. So basically what I've got set up is our DIY light box, and I've got the sun kind of coming through so it really illuminates this left-hand panel, and then also the top quite a bit. There's obviously no light coming in through that other side, but the other parchment paper will act kind of as a fill, so it'll bounce some of that light around as well to kind of even it out. And I've just put a big piece of paper back in the back. It's like a, I don't know, 11 by 17 or something like that. You know, if you had to tile out white paper, that's fine too. The more seamless it is, the better. And then I've got let me move this out of the way so you can see a little better. And so in here, we've got our turntable, right? And as we go to do the turntable, you know, just really try to, you know, visualize where that center point is. It might be best kind of hold it above maybe a little bit and spin it and make sure that it's staying on axis. You know, the thing that we don't want is for it to be kind of moving around that outside edge. We want it to stay kind of on that center point, you know. And I can even like, you know, I can even like feel here. That's where I put that second piece of paper on here, so I can kind of feel, okay, that's where my center point is, and just try to, you know, get it as close to that and kind of look and make sure that it's as best I can spinning on that axis point. And then I'm going to kind of push it back towards the back as best I can as well. That'll also help, you know, keep a little bit of separation and get the light on there. Anytime we're doing a product shot too, it wouldn't be a horrible idea, you know, just double check, you know, make sure that it's looking as clean as possible. Not that we can't Photoshop out the dust, but why do a bunch of Photoshop if we don't have to, if we can just simply like clean stuff. All right, so let's get that in place. And I've added, again, some you know, screws and bolts and nuts and nails and things, just some random bits. That'll be nice and heavy. So that should keep this from moving and sliding every time I have to touch it. You know, you might want to consider, you know, also, you know, maybe consider if you needed to tape it down or something like that. Okay, so I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm just going to put this so that it's pretty much straightforward, and then go ahead and get our tripod and camera in place. And I'm shooting to the lowest common denominator, so I'm just using my iPhone to do the shooting as opposed to a DSLR. That way, we know that it can be done with any camera, but of course, if you've got a DSLR at home, by all means, go ahead and use that, because the quality obviously will be better and you have more flexibility. But just putting that out there for us. All right, so I'm gonna get it in place here. Now, once we have our camera in place, I'm gonna zoom in because I have the option to zoom in. The more telephoto we are, the tighter it's gonna pull in on that background anyway. And this is a fairly small object, so I'm just gonna try to center it up in the frame as best I can. I don't wanna kind of also create an angle there, so if I can, try to square it up as best I can. And you know, there's a lot of extra space, so I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of frame it up so that it is completely getting the white. I don't wanna have to do a bunch of Photoshop work if I don't have to. And if I need to, I can always crop it all at one time in that top part and make it square or something like that, get it a little tighter, make it a horizontal. Now, before I start shooting, one of the things that I don't want is for the exposure to be shifting and changing from shot to shot. We're gonna shoot a lot of pictures. So again, on my phone, I'm gonna click and hold on this actual picture, click. Now it's got auto exposure, auto lock. And I'm going to adjust my exposure just a little bit. I think I'd like it a little bit brighter. It is a black object, but again, you know, when we think of white and black and it's doing averaging, it might see a lot of the white and kind of darken it a little bit. And so I want that white to be as bright as possible, and I want to be able to make sure I've got detail in that, you know, in that black without blowing it out. So I think that's going to be pretty good. I can always adjust it inside the computer with an adjustment layer. So now we've got our first shot kind of framed up. I'm just going to click the shutter. Oh, another thing, my camera keeps going onto live view, so I don't want to shoot in live mode. So then I'll go ahead and click the shutter. If you have a shutter release, probably wouldn't be a horrible idea. And then I'm just going to move it just a little bit, and then click, and move it a little bit more, click, and so on, right? And so that's where that weight comes in handy. We don't want it to be moving, you know, and changing its position every time we move this, but we're just, and you know, I'm not doing it super precise. There's other things that we could do You know, I could put like a tape measure or something else around that outside, and maybe put like a little marker so I can see that I'm doing specific degrees each time for the most seamless of gifts. But right now we're just doing the basic idea. So just little movements. The more shots you have, the smoother the circle will be as it does its 360. All right, so that's really all there is to the shooting. Once you get set up, it should go pretty straightforward. And if you remember when we built the DIY box, I was saying I built it kind of large so it would fit some of my wife's ceramics and things in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick picture of one of her pieces. Let me just go around in the studio and grab one, just for some variety. All right, so sorry about that. So I just went and grabbed a quick little like natural form hand pinched mug, and I'm just going to replace that. And again, I'm just trying to put it on that center point as best I can. This is going to be a little bit, you know, it's a little bit more asymmetrical. Let me go ahead and just frame it up really quick. Just going to pull out just a little bit so we have a little bit more space. And then reset our focus. Again, I'm going to adjust our exposure a little bit. So it's a little bit brighter. Oh, you just could pick up some of that detail and things. It looks like I'm clean. Okay, so just like last time, we're just going to go ahead and click. All right, so there we go. That's how our DIY turntable is going to work. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and take some of those objects that we looked at in our scavenger hunt yesterday for different types of objects that we could use. Reflective, you know, reflective objects, chrome things, you know, black plastic, things like glass bottles, you know, and maybe even like a little figurine would be cool, or a little car. So throw those in there and do a couple shots using your turntable so you have a few 360s that we can work with when we get back to school. All right, it's good to see you guys.